But it got worse because the moderator, Susan Page, who was from, I believe, USA Today, asked an embarrassing question about Breonna Taylor, which the fact that there's some kind of debate question to be like, oh, let's use this dead woman who cops murdered in cold blood in her own home. Let's use her as a political tool. That's insane. And Susan Page should be embarrassed by her question, and Kamala and Pence, which Pence is so far from this that of course he's not going to be, but Kamala should be embarrassed for trying to engage on the merits of this question. He's asking someone, oh, explain systemic racism in this country. You have 2 minutes. Is absolutely insane. Absolutely embarrassing that it could be treated like a debate issue, that black people and their right to continue life are being treated as a political football in both debates now. 2020 has just been the year of that. We saw all the corporations do that, and it's embarrassing. It is tone deaf. It is insensitive and just insane that they're going to use that. But Kamala's response was also woefully insufficient. She brought up George Floyd, which, okay, continue. And then she said, well, he would be alive today if we had banned chokeholds. Absolutely not. I don't know who has that in their head, but that is so insane that you would ever think that that would have ever changed Derek Chauvin's mind when he had his knee on his neck, as if, oh, wait, is there something in the rule book for this? Come on. But we do need to talk about Pence's response, because he said, oh, I trust the Justice Department on this one. And then he turns to Kamala, and just like he did throughout the night, he does his faux outrage thing of, how dare you, Senator? How dare you insinuate? I think it's offensive to everyday Americans that you would ever say that law enforcement could have a racial bias. Where have you been? Where have you been for the entire history of this country? And obviously, that is not a surprising response from Mike Pence, but it still is bracing to hear it out loud. And not just that, but the condescending faux rage over it, that I'm offended by that. To complain about snowflakes through 2016 and then to come out there and act amazed and offended over the existence of racism in this country is just ghoulish. It's insane. But it's a part of a larger point where, you know, he's going to talk about being pro-life and then say, Breonna Taylor, I trust the justice system. I feel for the Taylor family, and that's all I got on this. And the fact that he has the gall to argue that he's pro-life when he's willing to say these kinds of things, and AOC already kind of made this point on Twitter, but the fact that he's willing to, you know, deprive of sexual education, that he's willing to, you know, kneecap access to any kind of, free handouts, that you're going to take away welfare, you're going to take away any right to birth control and contraceptives, you're going to take away people's right to health care, that, if you have a pre-existing condition, yeah, screw you. That's insane. And then you're going to force someone to have a child, and then you're also going to take away SNAP benefits, you're going to take away any sort of child welfare, because no free handouts. And then you're going to not give people health care. You're not going to give the kid health care. And by the way, if you work a minimum wage job, you're not going to be able to afford housing. So exactly where in all of that timeline, in all of that process, are you being pro-life? And it's part of a larger sort of paradigm of the way that Mike Pence clearly thinks, and anyone who supports him or stands with him, is he's living in a fantasy world. He's living in a white, pro-life Christian utopia. And his wealth and his power and his ability to completely insulate himself from reality has allowed him to totally ignore the fact that that utopia is built on the backs of an oppressive patriarchy, on the back of a racial caste system in this country, and on abusive worker-employer relations, and all of that is the foundation on which his little pretty white house is built. You do not have any leg to stand on, especially when you are responsible directly for the deaths of 200,000 Americans, and then God knows what other evils you've carried out over the past 4 years as a result of that administration. It is appalling, again, it is ghoulish, it is soulless, and Mike Pence should be ashamed of himself. And I hope that he goes in the history books as just a soulless ghoul and nothing more than a white supremacist footnote in a very, very dark time in American history. You've been watching Social Point. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and iTunes if you enjoy the podcast format. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SocialPointPod. Thanks for watching.